Hi. I just pulled up something on my phone because I wanted to share it with everybody. It was sent to me by someone who took a picture in a New York City charter school, elementary school. And you know how we have the alphabet for little kids? A is for apple, with a picture of an apple. And this one, he just got the shot of the ending of it. Well, the gist of it, I don't know where it went to. The gist of it is W is for Walmart, A is for Amazon, all of the alphabet cards, and I'll send them to you if anybody wants it. Oh, there it is. T is for Target, V is for Verizon, X is for Xbox. That's the alphabet in the children's charter school in New York. Says it all, I know. It's almost funny, but it's horrific, just horrific also. Okay, so I just because I didn't want to forget any horrible thing that's happened, Escondido was found to be the 11th most conservative city in the country, not in California, in the whole country. So it's often called the Alabama of the West. And I apologize if anyone here is from Alabama. So my involvement started in 2006 at a graduation ceremony at a local charter school. And I had been living in England for almost 20 years, and I didn't know what a charter school was. And my daughter, my ex-husband, was born in Escondido, and he put her in the school, and I really wasn't involved in it. She seemed fine there. So at the graduation ceremony, and she kept me out, and I now know why. At the graduation ceremony in 2006, I was asked to bow and pray to Jesus Christ, my Savior, 3 times. So this is publicly funded, public school, and I called the ACLU from my phone at that graduation and went nuts. And David Loy, who's been litigating against Escondido many, many times from the ACLU for things like this, said, no problem, I'll take care of it. So at that moment, I got very involved in charter schools and wanted to learn more and more about it. In June of 2011, so we skip forward a little bit, our library that was in the, I guess the poor part of town was closed, and the mayor basically gave a sweetheart deal to his friend who owned this charter school, the same charter school that I was talking about. And so the library in the poor part of town was closed, and now it's a charter school, and it's not been reopened. Recently, because I'm actually a campaign manager for a new mayor in Escondido, recently, because they're a little afraid of what the election will hold, they gave an extension lease to this charter school to 2046 in case they don't win this time. Yeah, it's really bad there. Okay, in 2014, the school board majority, this is an Escondido Union School District, voted to give the charters whatever they asked for. But the real public schools couldn't get a tree put in or a playground or anything. They look like little prisons for little people. They're horrible. 2014, I started a bilingual progressive newspaper because nobody knew what was going on, and everyone's all excited about getting Latinos to vote, but if they have no news in Spanish, who was going to tell them who to vote for? So I started a newspaper, and I'm still publishing it. It's been 5 years now. I was seen or noticed at a Escondido Democratic Club meeting, and there was a school board, there were 4 school board members there, and I began to ask them questions. It was the first time I went to this meeting, to that group, and asked them about prayer in school, and what did they think, and teaching creationism in class and science class, and they thought it was a good idea. And I said, so that's your opinion, that's fine. And I said, well, but it isn't about your opinion. Did you not know that? I mean, the school board has been, they know exactly who to get on the school board, and it's been organized for a really, really long time. So basically, at that meeting, a woman came up to me, Rebecca Natilli, who is a big part of Defend Public Education now, and she said, she introduced herself, said, I don't know who you are, but whatever you do in Escondido, I want to do it with you. So 5 months later, we had a newspaper, and neither of us have ever done a newspaper before. So that is sort of how I got more and more involved, and I'm not sure how I met Steve, but he certainly gets people involved in things. So I got thousands of signatures for the Defend Public Education, and what I actually found was no teacher that I can remember didn't want to sign, but the unions wouldn't get behind it. That was my problem. It was CTA. So that was bad, and I agree we need education. Okay, so let's see. Oh yes, then we had one good school board member, and his name is Jose Fregoso. And he really, really cared about the children in that district, the majority of whom are Latino children. And they took out the board took out a restraining order against him for absolutely made-up reasons. And it was the longest trial for a restraining order that court in Vista had ever had. It was 3 weeks. And I worked with the attorney who was helping him, and we discovered, I mean, they just all colluded. The rest of the board colluded. And one of the women on the board graduated from the charter high school that I was referring to. So it's a real scary group of people running the city, which will be not true starting in November, if I have anything to say about it. So they told the same story over and over again. They made up things, like one woman said that this man had punched her in the face between the open and closed sessions. And this was a couple days later, so I looked at her face, nothing. And had Jose punched her, there would have been some damage somewhere. So it was completely made up. Bad. Anyway, we won that. They got rid of the lawsuit. We won, so that was amazing. Okay, so Classical Academy is a different school, and they have many schools in North County. I got a book that they use for world history, and the book states, this is again world history, that angels flew Abraham up to heaven to talk to God, in the history book. So again, this is a real Christian homeschool white flight school. Because I've found where the board meetings are, it's so hard to get information because even though it's public money, it's not listed publicly. So I went there and I spoke to them about this, and they were very nice and a little weird. It looked like everyone had found clothing at Sears in the 50s. I don't know, it was just a very strange group. And one father followed me up very angry, and I thought he was going to push me down the stairs. I had to avoid him after that. But they completely lied. And we found the minutes to the agenda after I'd left. They said, no outsider is going to tell us what to teach in our school, again, with public funds. So this year, I told you about this year, the 2046. One of the people that I'd met who works, I'm a trustee at Palomar College, and I'm not speaking as a trustee today. But one of the students that works there told me about her family issues, which was that her father, who had been standing at a bus stop waiting to go to work, which he had done for about 20 years, was picked up by ICE and deported. He had never committed a crime other than being there and paying taxes. So she asked me if I would go to the graduation ceremony for her younger sister because the family was in a really bad way. So I said I would, and after that I found out it was that same charter school. So I went to it, but it was very different demographics. It was mostly Latino students at the graduation, hundreds and hundreds. And what they do to get the demographics right, because the actual school is in a Latino area, predominantly Latino area, but the people that go to that school are mostly white flight kids coming from a particular church. So what they've done is they opened up this digital academy in the old library. And that's how they got the demographics right. So they add in the demographics of the real, school, and then the ILP students, and then it looks okay, even though it's not okay. Let's see. Oh, and the catchphrase for that school is "Education is our business," which is so perfect because that's exactly what it is. And they don't see the irony of that. The person who's running that school is in the same job he's always been, same office, on the graduation, the flyer, the whatever they handed out, same job title, but is collecting a pension as if he wasn't, because now he's being paid from a different part of that school. So this is what's happening, and I would call that double dipping. Let's see. So our library, the one remaining library in Escondido, has been privatized to LS&S. The appointed library board was 100% against this privatization, and then after the mayor spoke with them, they were suddenly all for it. So that's where I'm living, and I think I just stay because of stubbornness, because half of me wants to leave. So just to sum up, I think the white flight aspect of the classical and Escondido Charter is very important. Also the fact that the charter school people are on the school boards, and they approved Epiphany, which had a terrible reputation, a school with a track record, no excuses philosophy. Allowed them to further privatize while ensuring that Latino kids would be less likely to go to the white flight charters. Segregation, privatization, and Christianization seem to be their end. And I think that without a lot of fighting and education, they're winning right now. So that's sort of my story. If anyone has any questions? Anything? Yeah? Yeah?
Just your name again.
Oh, Nina Deerfield. Anybody else? Yeah.
I'm a librarian. I graduated from Syracuse University Library School decades ago, the last century, as a matter of fact. So I've been a librarian all my life, and it's shocking me that they're privatizing libraries. It never happened to our Carnegie Public Library.
Yeah.
Can you say a bit more about what it means to privatize a library? Like,
Wow.
do they select the books?
They select everything. They select the programs, they select the books. There's no local say. People fought it. We had thousands of signatures against this privatization, but the deal was already done. It doesn't really matter. I've gone so many times to the city council meetings, and you can see we'll have 80 speakers against the privatization of the first branch library, and the same for this one. It doesn't matter. The deal's already done. So it's also the same reason that all of these people are being picked up and thrown into private prisons, because there's money to be made. So the more people that are picked up by ICE and thrown in jail for however long, and more children separated, all of that is making money for the privatization industry of prisons, of libraries, of schools.
So, are you saying there's a connection between the privatization of jails and the privatization of libraries?
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. If you look at the ALEC lobby, and there was a demonstration when they spoke in San Diego a couple years ago now maybe, and you could see what was on their agenda for the day, and a lot of it was about different privatization. So the 1% needs more. They need more money. That's all there is to it. And this is how they're getting it, from public funds, right? From our taxpayer dollars are paying them. Well, yes. So recently, there's a very small district within Escondido called San Pascual, and my partner, Rebecca Natilli, looked at the agenda for their next meeting, which apparently no one has ever done before, and was shocked to see that there was this idea of privatizing and colocation. So it's a one school, one building district. That's all there is out there. And they have a very nice school, and kids seem to do well there. It's a real public school. But now one of the board members from the other larger charter schools has now joined that one. And so he's bringing up this idea of doing a co-location. And this is a K through 8 school. The problem is the co-location is suggesting that they're going to try to help people who are doing poorly in high school. So they want to move problem students from high school to co-locate in a K through 8 school. That's insane. I mean, that's dangerous and wrong and just awful. Plus, if you co-locate, then they wouldn't have real teachers anyway, they won't get a real education. It's horrific.
Maybe you can talk about construction, fighting against, for union construction, and also
yeah.
Dennis Snyder.
So construction. One of the things that I wanted to do when I got on the Palomar board was to get a project labor agreement in place. We've never had a PLA of any kind in North County, San Diego. They have them at the San Diego Unified. So it was a real struggle, and my board is all Democrats, but the PLA idea didn't go over well, certainly not with admin. Oh, PLA, sorry, is a project labor agreement. And the biggest reason that I wanted to do it was that that way you can decide what zip code people are hired from first. So you can go into your poorer communities and say, we're going to hire people, union workers from that community first, and that way it's a community college, so you're helping the whole community. And that was my very naive thought, but it didn't go over very well. And we were just finishing up a very large bond, like $650 million, to build 2 new campuses, which we've done. So that is an ongoing issue that I will bring up after the November election when we see who's on the board with me. When I was going around speaking about the ballot initiative to repeal the Charter School Act of 1992, I went to a lot of different groups, NAACP and NEA and CTA and all over the place. And even the progressive, I'm now part of this group, progressive elected something for education, and even I know these people believe what we believe, and I know they know what we know, but they keep telling me, yeah, I agree with you, but, we can't do it right now. And it's like, if we don't do it right now, it's going to be too friggin' late, that's for sure. And I think that the money that CCSA is pouring into politicians like Shirley Weber, she's our big fighter for, police things that are going awry in San Diego, and she's a big supporter of charter schools. She's a Democrat, the only African-American politician in San Diego County, then I think. And she supports the schools. So what happens when kids graduate from her school, basically in San Diego, they get lots of scholarships. It's an inner city school, how wonderful this all is, and then they fail out in the first semester of any real university or college. So this is diabolical. One of the problems is that if you look at the school board, they finally got Jose Fregoso on 13 false felony counts when they couldn't get the restraining order upheld. So he had to go to court, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on bogus charges, and he didn't do any of those things. It was just made up. So the school board, people who are on the school board have been put in place a while ago, and they are pro-charter schools. So getting one of them on a charter school board is pointless.
Yeah,